Hello and welcome from the Salt and Light Media Studio at Nebraska Family Alliance that we launched in honor of the life and legacy of Charlie Kirk. I'm Nate Graz, Executive Director for NFA, and we're excited today to be joined by our very first studio guest, Nebraska Governor Jim Pillen. Governor Pillen, thank you so much for being with us.
My gosh, I'm getting goosebumps, Nate. You're first in honor of Charlie, and privilege for me. And I'm just in awe of all the work that you and your Nebraska Family Alliance team does and has been doing. And Nebraska is the greatest place on the face of the earth because of its people, and Family Alliance helps us all stay engaged. So we keep figuring that out.
Well, we're honored to have you here in studio. It's been a tremendous partnership. But as I mentioned, we created this space in honor of Charlie because we believe that right now it's as important as ever that there are voices defending truth in the public sphere and advocating for faith, family, and freedom. And so I want to start by asking you, as governor, what goes through your mind when you reflect on the assassination of Charlie Kirk, but more importantly, the legacy that he created?
Yeah, I think that I had the opportunity to be around Charlie three times, talk on the phone a few different times. So when I think of Charlie, I guess I'll share the night, an extraordinary moment when I was on campus with Nebraska students in Lincoln. And, I'm going to say there were 1,000 kids there. And like I told them, I said, which, by the way, it was an extraordinarily moving moment for everybody there. Becca Alec spoke, and, her heart just crumbled. And, so the Holy Spirit was alive. God's good was everywhere. And I told everybody, I said, look, you know what? There'll never be another Charlie Kirk. But what he did is help us understand that it is our obligation and our opportunity to stand up and speak the truth, speak what we believe. And, as I said, there'll never be another Charlie Kirk, but each one of us are called to be our best version of Charlie Kirk as we can. And, for me, it's pretty simple. I mean, Charlie was a brilliant guy, but he kept it really simple. He talked about God the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. That's the most important thing in life. He talked about love and life in his family, and talked about pro-life and how, we have to have good has to win over evil and the evil spirits, and just simple stuff.
Yeah.
Getting God back in the public forum.
Yeah.
And so I was in Montana yesterday for an energy event, and this subject came up, and I said, well, first off, I can't thank President Trump enough, because his approach inspired Charlie to another level. President Trump's approach gives me courage. What the heck, man? We got to say what's on our mind, quit playing goober politics, and just do what's right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, that you touched on a lot of really important things. That we all have a role to play in speaking and defending truth. And like you said, it's not about politics. It's not about left versus right. It's about right versus wrong and good versus evil. And, you mentioned the life issue, and I know a passion that we share is for pro-life values. So much so, in fact, I'll share something I'll always remember was your first day in office, literally day one. The first meeting that you scheduled on day one in office as governor was with Nebraska Family Alliance and other pro-life groups to talk about protecting life and families in our state. So why are those pro-life values so important to you, and how do we continue to build that culture of life in our state?
Well, number one, I don't know of any other way. That's how we were raised. That's, life, you help anybody, and no matter until from conception till you take your last breath when God brings you home. So high priority, and so we never give up. And I'm really I was devastated. We missed out on the heartbeat bill first session by a vote, but was grateful we were able to come back weeks later and at least get 12 weeks and as I've said, I've learned the, incremental success, and we'll keep working. We all put a lot of energy into the 434 and getting that across, and I was really pleased with the Catholic Church, got really, really involved, and spoke from the pulpit, said, hey, we this is not politics, this is good versus evil. And I think that going forward, I'm committed. I believe Nebraska has to be heartbeat. That's got to be the next step. Probably won't happen this session with the short session, but in 27, God willing, I'm still governor. Really, really high priority. There's a lot of really, really important things, but when life gets to where you're sitting in a chair reassessing life, pro-life and school choice lead the way. Just that's the way it is.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And it matters that leadership and who we have in office, and to have a governor, committed to the pro-life cause and to saving more babies. We're honored to stand with you in that. And like you said, we're going to keep working to see life cherished and protected in our state. And you mentioned school choice, and I wanted to ask you something that we were really grateful to see, a decision you made very recently, to issue an executive order proclaiming the state of Nebraska will be participating in the new federal scholarship tax credit program that passed through Congress as part of the One Big Beautiful Bill. And this is a big deal because it opens up a lot of opportunities and hope for more children and families in our state. But in doing the executive order and opting our state in, because the way it was set up was each state's governor gets to decide whether or not their state will participate in this federal tax credit program. You made Nebraska the first state to say we're all in on this. Why was this so important to you and something you wanted to help lead on nationally?
Well, number one, I am competitive and I don't like coming in second, so I like to be first. And if you believe, it's all about the kids. We all agree. We all agree in Nebraska. Our kids are our future. We don't want to give up on one kid. This is not a big deal. It's a gigantic, off the charts big deal, because we can bring extraordinary federal dollars to the state of Nebraska, help our kids being homeschooled, help our kids in private schools, help our kids in public schools. We can help our kids in public schools by tutors, by special education needs, by meals. We can even be doing it for the JAG programs. So that, it is off the charts. If you really think about it, we can have massive funding for our schools in Nebraska from the federal government. Let's just be hairy audacious and say we're going to really make sure every Nebraskan understands. And it costs us nothing but writing a check in December to a SGO of however we get them set up. And then when you write your check to the government, you decrease it by $1,700. Who is not going to do that? Now think about that. We have 1 million taxpayers. 100% would be $1.7 billion into our school system helping our kids. Now, who on earth is against that?
Yeah. Well, I think that's really important because there's been a lot of bad information about this, but this is a federal tax credit for private donations to organizations that provide education scholarships for kids to be able to go to the school that's best for them. So it doesn't impact our state education funding by a single penny, but it does open up that freedom and choice for parents and families, and it's about doing what's best for kids.
Doing what's best for kids. So we're really excited. It's going to take a lot of work. And why we wanted to get going is that, it's going to give us over 5 quarters to make sure we can get through everywhere, get it really, really simple so that nobody can say no.
Yep.
Nobody can say no. I think that's big. I think the other thing I wanted to make sure we talked about when we talk about pro-life, and I think that maybe early on in the early years, and maybe not until just recent years, we didn't do enough to help young moms. And I think that the pro-life movement has said, hey, we've done good for a lot of years praying. We've done really good on working on policy, but our actions of support weren't as strong. And I think I'm really, really proud that communities are stepping up everywhere. Organizations are stepping up where we, young moms, are not left alone to whatever takes place, and might say, I can't do this, and but they can, because we have extraordinary support networks everywhere. And I think, Nate, that's a big deal. I'm touched deeply how many people across our great state, I mean, they're living their lives helping young moms have babies and become great moms.
Yeah. And that's the beautiful thing, right? That the pro-life position it's pro-baby, but it's pro-mom, but it's also pro-science, it's pro-compassion, and we're better when everybody counts. And, that's what we're working towards, and creating that safety net, like you've talked about, and having that culture of life and love in our state.
Mm-hmm.
And, one of our pillars here at Nebraska Family Alliance is prayer. And I know how important your faith is to you. And, we also know that I think sometimes people lose sight of is that our elected officials aren't just politicians. They're real people. You have children, you have grandchildren. So how does that play into your role as governor, and how can we be praying for you and for your family?
Well, I think that one piece, so thank you. I think one piece that's really important is for people that their sanctification process hasn't happened to them yet. It's not a scary thing. You just talk to your God. Just have a conversation. Just partner and trust. And just remember the faith, hope, and love. They're incredible. So I'm in awe of how many people come up to me every day and say, "Hey, Jim, thank you for all you do," and our whole family prays for you every day. It's very, very moving, and it only can happen in Nebraska.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for the prayers and lifting me up, just making sure that I'm protected all the time, protected and encouraged, and have God's grace and wisdom.
Yeah. We'll be assured of our continued prayers for you and your family. And we want to thank you, Governor. Really appreciate your time today, but more importantly, the commitment that you have to protecting life and families in our state. It matters, and we're glad to partner with you in this work.
Together we can.
Thanks, Governor.
Thanks for all you do, Nate.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome.